The rain fell softly over the quiet streets of Toronto that evening, tapping against cafe windows and forming tiny rivers along the sidewalks. Inside a cozy little restaurant, Ryan sat at a corner table by the window, checking his watch for the third time in 5 minutes. He had been nervous all day. Tonight was supposed to be his first date in 2 years. His friends had set him up, insisting it was time he moved on after losing Emily, the woman he once thought he'd marry. He didn't know if he was ready, but part of him hoped this blind date might be a small sign from life that things could get better again. The waitress smiled politely as she refilled his coffee. "She running late?" she asked kindly. "Yeah, maybe traffic," Ryan replied with an awkward smile, though he knew it had been almost an hour. He stared at the untouched second cup of tea across the table, the one he had ordered for her. Every time the bell over the door jingled, his heart lifted, only to fall again. He finally sighed, realizing she wasn't coming. Feeling foolish, he waved for the bill, but then something caught his eye. Through the window, he saw a woman standing outside in the rain, holding a small boy's hand. They looked cold, lost, and hesitant, the kind of people who had nowhere to go but didn't want to ask for help. The little boy pressed his nose to the glass, eyes lighting up at the sight of the warm cafe. Ryan couldn't help but smile softly. The waitress followed his gaze and whispered, "They've been out there for a while. I think she's trying to get out of the rain, but maybe she can't afford to come in." Ryan didn't even think twice. "Can you ask them to join me?" he said quietly. A minute later, the woman stepped inside, clutching her son's hand. She was in her mid-30s, wearing a soaked jacket, her hair dripping. "Sir, I'm sorry, we don't want to bother you," she began softly. "You're not bothering me at all," Ryan said gently. "Please, sit. You both look like you could use something warm." The boy's eyes widened as the waitress brought them hot chocolate and a bowl of soup. He started eating eagerly, and his mother watched him with quiet gratitude. "Thank you," she said, her voice trembling. "We've been walking since morning. The shelter was full, and I didn't know where else to go." Ryan felt something stir inside him, something human, deep, and painful. He saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the same kind of brokenness he had seen in his own reflection for months. "What's your name?" he asked softly. "Laura, and this is Ethan." He smiled at the little boy, who gave a shy wave. "That's a strong name," Ryan said. "You must take care of your mom a lot, huh?" Ethan nodded proudly, his mouth full of bread. For the first time that night, Ryan laughed genuinely. The table, once filled with loneliness, now felt alive again. As they talked, Ryan learned that Laura had lost her job 2 months ago. Her husband had left years earlier, and she had been doing everything she could to keep Ethan safe and fed. She wasn't asking for pity, she spoke with quiet dignity, holding herself together for her son's sake. Ryan admired that strength deeply. Hours passed without any awkward silence. When it was time for them to leave, Ryan realized he didn't want the night to end. "Where are you staying tonight?" he asked carefully. Laura looked down. "I'll figure something out," she whispered. He paused for a moment, then reached into his pocket. "Look," he said, handing her a small card. "I work in real estate. I have a small studio apartment that's vacant right now. It's not much, but it's warm and safe. You and Ethan can stay there until you get back on your feet. No rent, no catch." Laura's eyes filled with tears. "I can't accept that," she said, shaking her head. "You don't even know us." "I think I do," he said quietly. "You're a mother who loves her child. That's enough for me." For the first time in a long while, Ryan felt peace. The pain of being stood up didn't matter anymore. As Laura hugged him tightly and whispered, "Thank you," he realized something powerful. The night hadn't been about finding love. It had been about finding purpose again. Over the next few weeks, Ryan helped Laura find work, and Ethan became a regular visitor at his office, always bringing his little drawings for Uncle Ryan. Slowly, the sadness that had lived in Ryan's heart began to fade, replaced by something purer: connection, kindness, and meaning. Months later, on a sunny spring morning, Ryan stood in front of the same cafe, watching Laura and Ethan laughing together over breakfast. He smiled quietly, realizing how life had its own mysterious ways of healing us. Sometimes, When the people were waiting for never show up, it's because God intends to send someone else, someone who needs us just as much as we need them. That night, Ryan wrote in his journal, "I went looking for love, but God sent me something greater, a reason to care again." And from that day forward, he stopped waiting for life to give him what he'd lost. Instead, he started giving, and that made him whole again.